I think that Hollow Knight is a better game than Silksong. Silksong is a wonderful game. I just found many annoyances in Silksong that weren't present in the original game. It is important to say that I haven't finished Act 3 yet. Anyway, here are my reasons why I think the original is better. Exploring Silksong is wonderful. I enjoyed discovering new areas, new items, and beating bosses. But during the second half of my playtime, I felt like the game got quite stale between Act 2 and Act 3. There are many areas that have a samey feeling, but by having very similar enemy types. In the first game, the way I fought my battles changed drastically between each area. Think about how City had slow, very careful enemies, Deepness had quick trap masters, Infested Crossroads had with hyper-aggressive, hard-hitting bugs, and Crystal with silly, slow-ranged enemies. Not to mention areas like the Abyss with scared to fight, hard-hitting ghosts, and Soul Sanctum with those flying heat-seeking missile attacks. Meanwhile, in Silksong, I can easily think of Hive Holes, Deep Docks, and Underworks. Those areas are great, but they play very similarly. You end up in these areas where you have waves of enemies consisting of big tanks, airborne archers, and small warriors. By no means is this a bad enemy design, but I think it makes fights feel the same. Sure, you might struggle with one enemy area more than the other, but after a few rooms like that, it starts to feel overused. I personally love the slab and bile water because of the exploration in those areas feels unique due to how differently you fight the enemies. In Bile, you use enemies as platforms and watch out for traps, kind of similar to Deep Nest. The slab is easily one of the top three moments in the franchise. Switching out the gameplay is what I've switching out the gameplay is what the game should do more over its runtime. Another great area is the Mist. Gosh, I love that area. With how we have tons of scary enemies similar to the Abyss, and how you had to use your needle song to solve a simple environment puzzle in order to progress. Silksong is great when it catches you with your pants down and surprises you with different enemy strategies. Map design. Overall, I think Silksong is significantly better in terms of the world layout. Hollow Knight had many maze-like areas, such as Fog Canyon, that felt very confusing to explore. In contrast, in Silksong, exploration feels a lot better and natural. I think the map is a lot simpler in very good ways, but we gotta talk about those secret walls. There are many areas hidden behind a secret wall in both games, but I feel like in Silksong, the reliance on those hidden paths changed from just getting additional items to mainline progression. Secret walls are everywhere in the sequel, and it sucks when you realize that you missed a whole area or a key item simply because you missed an unmarked transition to the next area. There are quests which guide you towards some of these new areas, but many remain behind only these secret walls. This especially bugged me during my journey between Act 2 and 3, where I had some fleas to collect, but it turned out that I simply missed a major room in Farfields simply because I didn't go under the floor near the fast travel spot. Hollow Knight also had areas like the Stag and Palace grounds that were hidden behind a secret wall, but those didn't feel mandatory to progress and felt few and far in between. Tools. Silksong made changes to the charm system. These changes are nice as they make it so you cannot run Strength, Quick Nail, Shaman, and Mantis. Instead, you are limited on how many exploration, defensive, and offensive tools you can use. The amount of each depends on your weapon type. I feel like this discouraged me from using certain weapons because they wouldn't have any exploration slots, any defensive slots, or I just wouldn't have enough memory lockets to unlock slots in the first place. It just made me stick to what I had already unlocked and liked. The main issue with tools is the new silver shard currency that you get by defeating enemies. This currency is used to recharge your offensive tools while you sit on a bench. Overall, it's a great idea, but it's poorly executed. There are many enemies and boss arenas where you struggle. However, defeating those enemies for some reason doesn't give you any silver shards. What happens is after 10 or so attempts on a boss where you use your throwing knives, You have to either continue without any offensive tools or leave the boss and farm enemies that drop shards so you get your tools back. This is not only annoying because you have to stop fighting the boss, but you're also risking all of that money left where you last died. So you're forced to rely on either Silk Eater to get your money back or on those shard bundles you collect along the way. Not to mention that there are two offensive potions. One is essentially Quick Nail, and the other gives you extra health. They don't even recharge from shards. The game expects you to stop whatever it is you're doing and travel to a specific NPC that isn't necessarily near fast travel and spend 50 bucks on a refill like you're at McDonald's or something. Why? Double Mask. Finally, we arrive at what you guys probably thought would be my first reason for not enjoying Silksong as much. Tell you the truth, I don't think Double Mask is bad by itself. The first game has Double Mask, and I cannot think of a single time during a true ending run where it would be a problem. This is because it's used sparingly on bosses or significant enemies. Radiance, Hollow Knight, and Trader's Lord have this mechanic and it's fine. Meanwhile, Silksong puts Double Mask on what feels like everything during the transition of Act 2 and Act 3. You have very few iframes in Silksong too, so if you're not careful, this can lead to even losing 4 masks. The worst the worst two parts of Double Masks are flying enemies and environmental damage. Team Cherry made it so touching bosses now makes you take 2 hits. That's fine with most bosses, only annoying me when they jump as you can easily get hit, but that's still okay. However, it sucks with flying bosses like the one in Bilewater. These bosses don't have an animation nor a sound cue when they're about to move an inch to the left or right. What happens is you have to jump to hit a boss, and that's when the boss moves slightly towards you, and you take 2 masks worth of damage. It's not a well telegraphed attack, it's not a hey, I should move a little bit further away. It's unless you're playing it very safe and only attack when the boss is middle of an attack animation, you should be scared of dealing damage with your nail. I feel like this is an area of the game where Team Cherry should consider a change to a single mask, or make it so bosses either don't move while idle or have a better telegraphed movement pattern or something. Double mask from environmental damage shouldn't exist in this game, period. It's especially frustrating during the Four Brothers, Sigis and Gron fight in Deep Docks, where you essentially have waves of enemies combined with a multi-phase boss battle where you take double damage from both bosses. What happens is one boss hits you for 2 masks, but you end up hitting lava on the side of the arena and take another 2 masks worth of damage. This feels incredibly cheap and frustrating, not to mention how because there are already 2 bosses, your attention is split and you combine that with running out of silver shards problem, so you can't even use your own tools. In the original, it felt like you started to take double damage when you were deep in the game, where you already had upgrades for your health and damage. Meanwhile, in Silksong, it feels like set upgrades are few and far in between, so you end up feeling like you're in an area too early. In conclusion, Silksong is a very wonderful game. I love this world, and this game could have easily beat Hollow Knight as my favorite game. But these annoyances just drag Silksong down a lot. I don't know when I'm going to go back to this game in order to finish it. I don't even feel like we're playing it. Unlike Hollow Knight that had tons of replay value personally, it's a shorter game and missing a tons of items doesn't feel horrible. It just makes the game feel like a fun challenge. Silksong is a very long game that just frustrates me more and more as I play. I love this game. There are so many fun bosses that are extremely fun. There are so many fun characters, tools, and abilities to play around with. I cannot wait for a boss rush mode with one-on-one fights like the first game. I'm very impressed with what Team Cherry has given us, but man, some of these design decisions absolutely ruin the fun for me.